listening to Mile High Insiders with Nick Kendell and Luke Patterson. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all things Broncos. Now, it's time to find out what's going on behind the walls of UC Health Training Center.
Alrighty, and give it a quick second to breathe here. I guess maybe not so good here in Seattle with breathing the really terrible air quality, but letting the pod go. Guys, welcome in. This is the Mile High Insiders. And first, before we even start anything, Luke, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent, man. I'm breathing optimism right now because, Nick, they said we'd never get here, man. They said we'd never get here. We're 48 hours away from Bronco football. I'm pumped, man. Let's have a great show.
Absolutely. Look at us. Who'd have thought, right? No, but
who'd have thought, man? We made it. We're here.
But hello to Broncos country. It's time for an episode of Mile High Insiders. I'm your host today, Nick Kendell, and joining me is my good friend, Luke Patterson. And today's episode is brought to you by sportsbetting.com. Head on over there for all your NFL and other sports betting needs. It's a great site with tons of great information for sports bettors. And with gambling now being legal in the state of Colorado, there's no better time to go check out sportsbetting.com. Also, make sure you find us on Twitter at Luke Patterson LP and at Nick Kendell MHH. Subscribe to our show wherever you listen to your podcast, wherever you listen to these shows. And really importantly, leave us a rating. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, share. If you're on Facebook, click those little thumbs up, as we like to say around here. And also don't miss all our great in-season content. I got to change that. It says off-season content here, but we're in-season now at milehighhuddle.com and affiliate of Sports Illustrated as well. So before we even get really going, got to check out the chat here. We got Jay Roper coming in here. Can't wait. Stu McPeak. Yeah. Hi, all. Stu, hopefully you are doing okay here in the Seattle area with the terrible air going on right now.
What
Robert
up,
Kitchens. We got killing it here. Steve Baumgartner, of course.
Steve. What up, Big Steve?
Foxtrot Mobile, Toy Mafia, Eclipse Stormborn.
Eclipse, what's going on, man? Dang, we got a huge group. We got Uriah, Big E, Gavin coming in, Justin. Dang, Nick, Matt. We got it, man. The pressure's on. We got to have a good show now. Look at these good folks. Darian coming in here.
Oh, Jerry Bayless, ZW Designs, Robert Skinner, Lance. How you doing, Lance? Good to see you. And we got our first one of the season right here. It looks like, hey guys, playing Madden 21 right now, and I can see Steven's picture is a Madden picture with the one and only Drew Lock on it. So that's great to see.
Yeah.
We got Jose coming in here, or Juice, whatever way you want to go. Kevin Peterson. Kevin, how you doing?
What up, Kevin?
So we got a good group in here today. That's really exciting. Well, thank you for joining us on this Saturday evening. And I guess what everyone's here to talk about today, kickers. Right? That's the big thing. Everybody wants to talk about special teams, but it actually is important today for the Broncos. The Broncos just signed last night coming in an extension with longtime kicker Brandon McManus, which means that the Broncos are going to have a member of that Super Bowl 50 squad on the squad for the foreseeable future. So the Broncos agreed to a 4-year contract extension with McManus through 2024. The deal is for $17.2 million and includes $9.5 million in fully guaranteed, according to the agent Drew Rosenhaus. Everybody knows Drew Rosenhaus. McManus was entering the final year of his contract and was going to make $3 million. McManus is now 29, has spent the last 6 seasons with the Broncos, has made 81.5% of his career field goal attempts and 98.5% of his extra point attempts. And last year, McManus was 24 for 34 and 25 for field goals and 25 of 26 for PATs. So congrats to McManus. I know that he's Vic Fangio and him kind of had a little moment last year where they kind of went back and forth. It was a little bit concerning, but the Broncos opened up their wallet, something that they seemingly haven't done for their own players, and are bringing back or extending McManus for a while. So, Luke, now that all that information's out of the way, your thoughts?
This one goes out to Stephen Baumgartner, man. Let me know how B-Mac's doing on Madden. Is he one of the best? Does he deserve this money based off your Madden right now? No, man, for me, B-Mac, he deserves it. Absolutely. This guy has been, overcoming obstacles in his early 2014 run and then dismissal and ultimately was brought back and has had success ever since. I mean, you look at this guy, he's been their offensive weapon since 2015. I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the guy. He deserves it. But I got to be honest, Nick, I'm a little frustrated. I think sometimes we would like to have some other players paid. I'm not saying that BMAC doesn't deserve it, nor do I think He's worth it. He's absolutely worth it. I mean, this guy is your offense, and it just worries me. Yeah, he has been the offense. It worries me because I'm hoping they're not foreseeing shaky offense this year, and they need to really lock down their kicker and make sure he's happy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I hope he does well, but kickers they scare me because they're kind of like golfers, where like if they kind of lose their stroke or their confidence, it can just all of a sudden be gone. So paying a kicker 4 years just concerns me a little bit. It's not like the athletic profile where a guy, they can have a little bit of ups and downs, but that athletic ability is still going to be there barring injury. But with kickers, they're just so fluky and finicky. So it scares me a little bit. I do think that McManus deserves it. I think that honestly, in the Super Bowl 50 run, he's probably the unsung hero because I don't think he missed a kick. He made a bunch of really clutch kicks. And with how that Broncos offense was that season, obviously the defense is incredible, but how the Broncos offense was that season, McManus could not miss. And he didn't. Mm-hmm. So I think that I hate paying guys for what they have done. Obviously, just 29, he's the long window left of being a good kicker. Kickers can play till their mid-40s, maybe longer if you ask Jason Elam and the Anderson brothers, if you remember them, and obviously Vinatieri. But good for McManus. Just makes me a little nervous because how fluky kickers can be.
I like that. They're like golfers. I've never heard that, nor have I thought about it like that, but I agree with it. Absolutely. I think sometimes it's a stroke of luck. Other times it's mental for these guys. And Brandon McManus has proven that he's got one of the strongest legs in the NFL. Now, I am curious, and I'll open it up to our Super Chat superstars on this one, where Brandon McManus's contract falls among kickers in the NFL. And maybe Lawan Beast, maybe he knows. Open that up to you guys, just because for me, the biggest thing is everyone says general manager John Elway doesn't like to pay his players. Well, it seems like he took care of Brandon McManus. And I know it's a little wonky being the kicker and everything like that, but this guy is special teams for the Denver Broncos. Again, the Broncos are looking for players to step up this year to be special teams contributors. But overall, this guy deserves it. He's going to score you lots of points. I'm sure tons of people picked up Brandon McManus in their fantasy football leagues this year, and with good reason. I mean, he's a consistent kicker. You said it, Nick. He didn't miss a kick, I think, the entire postseason run in 2015 on the way to eventual Super Bowl 50 championship. So does he deserve it? Absolutely. Is it making other players just a little antsy, maybe a little grouchy, maybe a Philip Lindsay thinking, hey, dude, kicker's balling out of control right now. Where's this leave me? Priorities just seem to be a little bit different over there at Dove Valley, and the Broncos and John Elway clearly sending a message to his squad saying, Brandon McManus, we need you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm glad they're paying their own inside guy. Also, something to be said is that while sometimes kickers are, especially specialists, are kind of in their own little bubble in the locker room, it does seem that McManus is very well liked amongst his teammates. He's definitely one of the guys. So while guys like Lindsay and obviously Simmons, who have been in the locker room, well liked from all accounts that I've had contact with, I don't think there's going to be that much resentment because McManus is still one of the guys. It's not like he's like this outsider, which sometimes can happen with specialists.
You're right. He's not just the kicker, right? He's not the guy that just needs to shut up in the locker room and go kick. People love him. He's a very, he's a goofy kicker. Yeah, he's goofy, but he's got charisma. People like him. I mean, the ladies like him. He's a good looking cat, right? He's well spoken. He seems to just do the right things. I know I was a little bit grouchy at him last year for his little spat with Fangio, and looking back on it, I wish he got the opportunity. But throwing the helmet when you're a kicker, you can't do that. Now, that being said, he's one of Von Miller's best friends. I mean, he said it in the press conference just recently that Von called him immediately as soon as he got out of surgery. So when
Von's his McManus' son's godfather.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. So, I mean, that just shows you the relationship and the bond that the star pass rusher has with the kicker. So I agree with you. It's a little bit different, and Wannabes coming in here. So he's got the fourth average per year salary per spot rack and NFL measurables for his contract. So John Elway definitely giving him a fair deal and making him happy. So I'm happy to see it, but I just hope it's not a projection of what the Broncos point scoring is going to look like in the 2020 season.
And also, I could be mistaken here, but isn't it Nadia is Brandon McManus's wife? Doesn't she do a lot in the community as well? She's like one of the she does like high up in some sort of community action. Which I mean, if you can keep somebody like that around in the Denver community, awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, man, they do. So I'm glad you brought that up, Nick, because I would be just remiss if I didn't bring that up. The McManus family is just so giving and compassionate. The thing that I'm thinking of right now, and I know they have multiple charities set up, and that's something that's very important to Von Miller as well. So you could see the two bonding with volunteering and giving back as well. Something that he did was, and I know you work in healthcare. I've got a wife that works in healthcare. My mom works in healthcare. For all you guys working out there in healthcare, thank you so much. But one thing Brandon McManus did just during the last spring in the current state of the world, he bought hospital workers lunch here in Colorado at one of the hospitals, and not just sending them lunch. I mean, being there to say thank you, hand them out, just a small token of his gratitude. So I'm really glad you brought that up, Nick. Brandon McManus, hell of a guy, hell of a family.
And see, the comment section seems to be a little bit more hit or miss on the McManus side. And we have James Campbell coming in. I wish McManus had legit competition this year. Misses too many kicks from 45 plus to be paid top 5 kicker money. That's a good point. He does seem to have a limit on his range. He's really good from inside 45, like clutch, like automatic. But beyond that, a little concerning. I get why they did it for consistency, but it seems like a little bit of an overpay. I don't think that's a bad comment at all. Then we got Manny Weiss coming in saying it was an easy one, so Manny likes it. We got Kevin Peterson coming in. It's a stupid deal paying McManus $4 million a year and cutting Todd Davis. Definitely have an issue with Todd Davis. That's a good call there, Kevin. We could have drafted a guy in the 4th or 5th round next year, and he would have been the best kicker in the draft. I think silly. I don't want to use a 4th or 5th round pick on a kicker, but that's a viable point there, Kevin. So you won't see me arguing that too much.
Yeah, Nick, I haven't got to talk to you because I know you're already looking at the draft, and I wait till January. But college football starts today, right? So I already know I'm going to pick your mind about that. I want to know what you're seeing early and often. But one thing you will not hear me texting you or ever read from me is what kickers are you seeing? I saw Tommy Townsend, the punter, right, for Kansas City. I saw him at the Shrine game last year, and the only thing I remember about him was his long hair. Otherwise, I would not know the punters, the kickers, and that's not me knocking them. That's just, it is what it is. There's so many positions to evaluate in the NFL draft. To just simply think that you can go get a kicker because he's made field goals in college, it just doesn't seem to translate for whatever reason. I don't have the stats, the data, just what the eyes are telling me and what the past has shown me. It is tough to find good kickers. Now, do I think Brandon McManus is a Jason Elam? Absolutely not. Never will I think that. Jason Elam was a one-of-a-kind kicker, but I think Brandon McManus is absolutely a staple of the Denver Broncos. They've got a rich history with their kickers. Who was it? Was it Rick Carlos? Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. The barefooted kicker, I think in the 70s for the Broncos. Yeah, I think it was Carlos. Yet, they're trying to take care of their own here, and I could see where that's souring some grapes. But you got McNungus coming in. What's up, McNungus? Thank you for coming in, man. $4.99 super chat. Maybe Philip Lindsay should learn how to kick as well as catch. Then maybe Elway will re-sign him. Nick, Philip Lindsay's a dad. Philip Lindsay is a Pro Bowler. Philip Lindsay is a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. Why is the kicker making more than Philip Lindsay?
Because Philip Lindsay came in as an undrafted free agent and plays arguably one of the few positions that is worth equally, if not slightly more than the kicker. There's running. I know that 2 running backs just got paid today, so that totally goes in my face. But those are running backs who have proven to make more difference in the pass game than Lindsay has to date. So it's a passing league. Running back is a position where honestly, guys are the best their first, second, third year in the league, and then they kind of fall off. It's kind of like a new car. You drive it off the lot, and immediately its value plummets. So I understand, people wanted to pay Lindsay, but it seems like the Broncos are just not as into him as Broncos country is, the hometown hero kind of thing, where we'll see what happens. But, they paid Gordon. That says – everybody should know what that says, right? Like, that's like, oh, Lindsay, we like you, but do we love you? It's kind of like it's like dating somebody, but like not being willing to marry them.
Yes, they're not willing to propose. They're happy together, but just not sure how happy you're going to be in the future. That's exactly it, man. I mean, John Elway doesn't know if he wants to marry Philip Lindsay to the Broncos right now. That's just, and you know what? That's okay. I mean, I don't think you should start paying everybody. I mean, you've got $30 million, I believe, plus in cap space, and whether or not pass rushers should be signed, we'll talk about that a little later. But we got Terry Randall coming in here. Hashtag Nick's Beer Fund. Hashtag use the force, Luke. Hashtag state of being. So we've got Terry, man. I appreciate you so much. I just got to give you a personal shout out. Terry's always on the grind for us here at Mile High Huddle, one of our super chat superstars. As Chad would say, on the Mount Rushmore of super chat superstars. So thank you much, Terry. But yeah, man, when I look at Philip Lindsay, it's one of those things where the Broncos are going to need both running backs this year. I just hope it doesn't create a split in the locker room based off the utilization of each running back. Now, I don't project Melvin Gordon to be complaining because he's getting paid no matter how many carries he's getting. So who really cares about that? Philip Lindsay, though, he's trying to get paid, whether it's by the Broncos or somebody else. So he loves to tell the media that he's not in control of when he gets in the game. And he's exactly right. He's not in control. But you know, it's ultimately up to him to do a lot with those touches. And the guy, I like the guy as a player. I think he's just the underdog that never says quit. And I think Broncos are going to see an angry Philip Lindsay, and that's going to be good for the offense.
Yeah, for Philip Lindsay, I think the biggest thing, I hate to go down this path, talking running backs again, especially the Lindsay Gordon thing, but I know that I haven't charted it, but Lindsay, anecdotally, I feel like he has done better when the quarterback has been under center, and he's done better when there's been a fullback in front of him. And that's not going to be the case for the offense this year. Sure. There's going to be more shotgun, and there's going to be more single back sets. So it's going to be interesting to see just how effective Lindsay is, because I know he was incredible, that one speed, just cut or go right away explosion through that A-gap, but without a fullback in there as much, without as much purely under center plays from the quarterback, I'm just curious to see how exactly he fits, where Gordon, shotgun offense, can do that. He can still bring power to the inside zone, whether it be under center or shotgun. So it'll be interesting. I'm curious how much of it is not only the Broncos not loving Lindsay, but also just the fit in what they want to do offensively.
Yeah, so I just wonder if it's in Phil's mind, in the back of his mind, like just another piece of fuel to the fire. I mean, I'd be annoyed. Why wouldn't I? The guy's human. He's a dad. I'm a dad. I mean, we all want to be paid more in every aspect of our lives. I mean, if you're not striving to achieve more, yeah, it's all about that money, man. If you're not striving to achieve more, then what are you really doing? You're not getting better. I mean, I'm not saying just go out and do anything for the dollar, but I mean, if you're not trying to get better, and you actually are getting better in Philip Lindsay's case, undrafted, like you said, Pro Bowl, back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. We'll see what he can do. But Stu McPeak coming in is correcting me. I said Rich Carless. It's Rick Carless.
It's actually Rich.
Oh, is it?
Rich, okay. Yeah, he corrected it second there, but it's
Carlos. Okay. Appreciate you, Stu. So Rich Carless. So he's a kicker. Yeah, growing up, you got to see him, man. I've seen some film. Pretty nasty film when you see a barefooted kicker out there, and kind of gross, man, when you're thinking about the mud. And I just envision Hobbit feet, and it makes me want to vomit. But
I wouldn't want to catch it. Ugh, where's that been?
No.
We got Mendungus coming in too. Step up the beard game, Nick. You're falling behind. Actually, Mendungus, I had to keep it a little cleaner because of the job I just started this week. So wanted to make a cleaner cut impression.
Yeah, Nick's got to wear the proper PPE during these times as well. So if you saw Andy Reid's face mask, I've seen Nick's face masks and stuff like that. And Nick's is not nearly as foggy as Andy's, nor does it have the X's and O's. But
I also don't have the remnants of cheeseburger. Yeah, that I think I saw in Andy Reid's.
You know, he lost all that weight a couple years ago, man, and I was hoping to see, another healthy-looking Andy Reid, and he still, was fogged up in there. I was getting worried the coach was getting a little hot, but he seemed to make it. And the last thing I want to do in terms of talking about these running backs, and we've got a ton that I want to get to, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We were talking about the young Kansas City Chiefs running back just before we went on. And something I told you was I still wouldn't have drafted a running back in the first round. I know you wouldn't have drafted a running back in the first round. And same with Jay. He was the same way. So Man, when you're paying a $12 million running back, but then you see a rookie come in and dominate the running game when you didn't know the Chiefs were going to start running the ball. I mean, I just can't help but feel, Nick, that the running game is going to be so important this season, especially when it's going to take offenses time to click in the passing game.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
Although here at Mile High Huddle, we know that Broncos country is not a geographic location, but rather a state of being. For those located in the state of Colorado, there's $1 million up for grabs in the sportsbetting.com Pro Football Pick'em contest. What's amazing about sportsbetting.com's Pick'em is that it's absolutely free to play. I can vouch for this because just a few minutes ago, I hopped on sportsbetting.com and entered the contest, made my picks, and it was not only easy, it was fun. All you have to do is make 16 picks against the spread and 16 over-under picks in the NFL's Week 1 slate of games. If you get all your picks correct, you'll walk away with $1 million. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And here's the kicker. SportsBetting.com is guaranteeing a $10,000 prize pool to the top 5 finishers, with the first runner-up getting $5,000. Not a bad consolation prize. It's free, easy, fun, and you could walk away with big bucks if you get all your picks correct. Enter the $1 million contest at sportsbetting.com/pick'em-football. That's sportsbetting.com/pick'em-football.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's obviously more coordination into the passing game. But for the offensive line specifically, those run games, you need to have synergy with the offensive line. So the whole offenses across the league are going to look a little bit defunct early. I mean, even the Chiefs, that's what makes the Chiefs so gosh darn frustrating, is that they did not look totally clean yesterday, but they didn't look like, or 2 days ago, they didn't even look like they were fully trying. So it's
yeah. Except I'm going to mispronounce his first name, but Osemele, the left guard, I believe, for the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, I went back and charted some plays of that first quarter, and just watching his progression. When you see an offensive line that can actually block, I mean, it makes all the difference, Nick. And that's obviously a huge part of the success in the running game the other night for the Kansas City Chiefs. But my Lord, when you get a road grader, and I'm hoping to see Dalton Reisner just put some Titans on his back, I'm really hoping the Broncos O-line can clean it up.
Yeah, we got ZW Designs coming in just because.
Oh, Zach, what up, man?
We're gonna cheers to that one, especially.
Cheers, Zach. Hey, you know what? This is a good time. Get your swag on, Jay. If you could throw that up for us, y'all need to go check out Zach. Zach's got the most awesome shirt. And I definitely want to order it. And I'm still trying to get some gear. You just ordered some gear today for MHI, but go to huddleuppod.com and get your swag on. We've got tons of stuff. We've got stuff from Nick's other show with Carl, Building the Broncos. We've got the Dove Valley Deep Divers, the Huddle Up podcast, mugs, face masks, the best gear that you can grab to show your love, to show that you're a Super Chat superstar, to show that you are a member of the Mile High Huddle community. And Zach, a very special friend, and on that Mount Rushmore of the MHH community as well. Go check out the sweet Lock Let Them Hate shirt that my boy Z designed, man, because it's fresh, Nick. I don't know if you've got to see it, but it's looking dope.
It is nice. And I'm going to hit a couple here because the super chats are starting to pile up. Just a couple stuff, just short little blips here, Luke. Our special teams stunk the last few years, especially on punts and returns. Yeah. Honestly, Wayne, thanks for the shout out here, the comment. Thanks, I just wanted to make the comment that Denver's has been not great, but if anybody watched Iowa State lose to the Raging Cajuns today of Louisiana Lafayette, if there's any Iowa State fans in here, I apologize, man. 1 year ago, they muffed that punt to lose to Iowa Hawkeyes, and today they gave up a kick return and a punt return for a touchdown and ended up losing. So, yikes.
I was chirping Brandon Stokely, the Raging Cajun, about that one, thinking like, oh, man, you guys are going down. And then it's like, oh, eat crow.
Yeah. So we got a Foxtrot coming in here, too. Thanks for pulling that up, Bawana. I have a question. Instead of trying to replace Vaughn for the season, what if we sign our trade for a good corner to help our secondary more, since there's not much edge rushers available? It's you're talking about a same problem but different. I don't know how to phrase it. It's pretty much the same boat. There are some cornerbacks out there, but if you're looking for guys who are going to move the needle compared to what you already have, it's probably the same as edge rusher, where it's going to cost probably more than it's worth to bring one in, especially this time of the year. So, we got the super chat coming in here.
What's up, man? Welcome to Mile High Insiders and Mile High Huddle, man. Definitely appreciate you. Haven't seen your name in there before. If you have been here before, welcome back, man. Appreciate you so much. A really good question. I like where your head's at because sometimes you need to look for alternative solutions. Yeah. I mean, we saw a couple pass rushers the Broncos talked to with, Clay Matthews and Cameron, and we're going to get to that here in a little bit. Don't want to go into it right now, but it just ultimately didn't work out. So what do you do when those things don't work out? You look at other areas. So
didn't work out yet.
Didn't work out yet. All right. I can also tell you John is very stubborn as well. So it is what it is. Sometimes
but it's a weird year because the contracts are guaranteed before week 1. So the Broncos could come back with a similar deal after week 1, and that's none of it's guaranteed.
That's the thing. Move on. Right. Now now you said it. That's after week 1. So yes. Excluding this Titans game, you're not going to be getting any new players unless they're practice squad players coming up. So I really like that question. Now, here's my problem with that. And I just don't know if it's doable, but I think Patrick Mahomes got sacked 1 time, maybe 2. I know it was 1 for sure. He was pretty comfortable back there. I know they got after him for a little bit, but in my opinion, when you got to go after the best quarterback in the game twice a year in your division and hope to get a wild card, because let's be honest, it looks like the Chiefs are going to repeat as division champions again. I want a pass rush. You got to knock that quarterback around a little bit. What's up, Pabby? Pabby's coming in. Zach's the man with the brain.
Pabby, also good to see you up and about. Hope you're doing better. I've been thinking about you. So just
yeah. So I mean, for me, man, I want quarterbacks to get knocked around. I don't know how you teach a young guy or a kid to play defensive back. I really don't. I mean, the cards and the chips are stacked so deep against those guys for pass interference and holding and incidental tripping and all this kind of stuff. I just feel like if you can, and pass rushers, that's the same way. You look at Clay Matthews, man, the refs love to call that guy as soon as he even touches a quarterback. So, it's kind of one of those pick your poison, but I want the pass rushers. Absolutely.
I think it's interesting to look at. This is something that kind of Pro Football Focus. So roll your eyes or believe it like it's the Bible. That's your prerogative. But they came out with a study recently. I think it was this past year where a singular great cornerback is more valuable in one season, but a pass rusher is more valuable over multiple seasons because good cornerbacks, they fluctuate rapidly. So like a guy like Darrelle Revis, he had multiple good seasons. He had one season that was as good as any cornerback ever. And it's just typically kind of see them, they'll have a blip, great season, then fall off. Where pass rushers, you'll see them be way more consistent year to year. So it's just
and to your point, immediately, Nick, do you expect Chase Young to come in and start dominating?
Well, when you're a top 5 pick with those tools, yes.
Yeah. Now
TJ Watt took a little bit of time. Some guys a little bit more raw, but
sure. But I guess my point would be, I feel like the pass rusher is more NFL ready as well in some cases. Now, depending on where they're picked, like you said, I mean, you look at a young cat like Derek Tuska, who Vic Fangio's like, no, you gotta get in the weight room. We got to get you on film. We got to start working with you. And then maybe we'll see, and then you can't compare him to a Chase Young. Obviously it's night and day difference, but a good question, but for me, I'm personally going with the pass rusher. I've seen their impact. Broncos country, you've seen their impact. I mean, the Broncos have a rich history of pass rushers outside of Von Miller. I mean, I was thinking of Fletch the other day. And Simon Fletcher and listening to him talk with Steve Atwater on Broncos camp. And I mean, it's just amazing. Carl Mecklenburg, I know he was an interior guy and an edge, I guess, in today's hybrid in today's league. But yeah, really good question, man. Really good question.
And here's one for you, Luke, as well. Since we are talking about kickers, specialists, how has Sam Martin looked so far? And
don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Chase. I can tell you this though, Tom McMahon, people like Tom McMahon around that building. They really do. I know the special teams unit, as folks have brought up tonight, and deservedly so, have gotten a lot of criticism over the past few years for just not performing well enough. So to see them go a different direction in the punting position wasn't a particular surprise, but the young guy's got to prove that he can, he's got some punts in the league, but he's going to have to show what he can do here at altitude.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
Absolutely. We got Aaron Lynch coming in. Aaron, looks like you're fishing somewhere. Let us know about that, because I'm about that. Actually, Eric Trickle went out fishing today for some halibut, so shout out to him. Only 2 more sleeps until Broncos football starts.
Yeah.
Excited to follow along another season alongside the MHH crew and family. Are we ready for the Drew Lock era to officially begin? I would say that it already has officially begun. Now the question is, how long is this era going to last? I believe in Drew Lock, but I don't think it's a don't believe versus fully believe. There's got to be some room in the middle. I know that the world today is so gosh darn polarized, but I'm kind of in the I want to believe, I want to see more. Gosh, I hope it works out.
Aaron, you gave me goosebumps, dude. You gave me goosebumps because I was just telling Nick and Jay, like, dude, they said we wouldn't be here, man, and we are here. Football is here. The regular season is here. We get to indulge all day tomorrow. And then Monday, which is just a typically terrible day for everybody, is going to be a great day. You know, everybody, I expect everyone in Broncos country, the Mile High Huddle community, wear your orange tomorrow and Monday. Both days back to back. I want to see that. Show us some pictures. Tweet them at us. Go to milehighhuddle.com. Comments on all of our great work that we just threw out there. Our staff just put a couple articles out there for some bold predictions for the season, as well as some game predictions. So go over there, check it out. Let us know. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Or what's your take? Also curious to hear from you guys. So we got Kevin Peterson coming in. Kevin, a huge supporter of MHH and the MHI Insiders. Kevin wants to know, well, actually, Kevin, Nick, don't go to work reeking like beer, or at least for at least a month or so. Yeah.
I will say that people in Seattle, sometimes I've crossed some people trying to be socially distant, mask up, blah, 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 all that. But they don't reek of beer, but they do reek of some sort of recreational stuff. You guys are in Denver. I mean, you probably know what I'm talking about there. But yeah, I'll do my best there.
So a quick Lindell White story. So I have a good friend that's a Broncos insider in town, and he said the first time he met Lindell White, he could actually smell him before he met him, and it wasn't beer. So pungent smell coming out there for good old Lindell, Colorado native. But no, man, Nick was actually telling me in terms of sweating, he's sweating out there. The humidity, he said, not a lot of people have AC out there, so. Yeah, man, I'm not envying you right now. It's the Mile High City. We had, a little bit of a snowstorm, but it's going to be beautiful weather, Nick, on Monday night. It's going to be that early, brisk fall. It's going to be perfect conditions, dude. And Aaron, I appreciate that comment so much, man. I'm so pumped, Nick. We're so close, dude.
Yeah, they smoke in the cushionberry, so appreciate that one, Gary. That one made me laugh.
I like it.
Aaron coming in here. I think Buana said that was his job earlier, but he actually works on fishing boats in Alaska.
Cool.
So, man, you should definitely meet up with Eric sometime and go fishing. He loves it. So I've only ever done fishing in the Midwest on lakes and bass fishing, crappie, bluegill, catfish, whatever. So I'm interested to do some catch some salmon maybe out here, and also would love to get some trout. So we'll see.
Yeah, I got to try to balance out my hunting season with football, and it's just the last few years it doesn't work out. I mean, Nick, you know just as much as everybody else. I mean, once the games start, it's not just the writing and the podcasting. We're going through film, and we're charting plays. We're watching games three times at least to try to figure out tendencies, try to figure out where things are going. But I love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, when you can get a chance to get out in the outdoors right now, if it's breathable air, go ahead and do it, man. But don't be going outside on Monday night, because your Broncos will be taking on the Titans here in the Mile High City, and we are just getting so close.
And I'm really excited that game for me now is going to be at 7 p.m., 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Instead of like the gosh darn 10 p.m. kickoff where I'm just dead the next day. So good for me. A little bit of selfishness there, but appreciate the Pacific time for once. Although I missed kickoff for the Chiefs game because I was stuck in traffic because I was coming back from my first day of work. So a little bit of a bummer there, but you'll take what you can get. But yeah, no, let's get it back here. Let's steer the ship back. We got to talk a little bit of Monday Night Football. Broncos hosting the Titans. Last I saw, the Titans were 2.5 point favorites. So that is going to be interesting. The Broncos as home dogs. Obviously, the Titans made it to the AFC Championship game last year. They beat two very good squads. They beat the Patriots and the Ravens. So that's quite the gauntlet to get through. Couldn't beat the Chiefs, but nobody beat the Chiefs last year in the playoffs. So is what it is. But it's an interesting team this year. Obviously, they have a lot of continuity back. They are in the news. First-round pick, Isaiah Wilson, got arrested for a DUI. It doesn't sound like he was going to play right tackle anyway this week. But that's interesting. And they also have some injuries. I think the most prominent one to talk about is Adoree Jackson, former first-round pick, very talented cornerback from USC that played for the Titans. He's out this week. So Broncos 2.5 dogs. And honestly, I know we were talking about sportsbetting.com. They're sponsoring the pod today, but even if the Broncos don't win, let's say they lose by a point, I would hammer the Broncos on that over-under because the Broncos historically almost impossible to beat week 1 or 2 at home. Now, without fans, how's that's going to be? I don't know, but I think the biggest thing is because of altitude. Teams aren't conditioned like Denver is yet. So I think Denver's going to win. I really do. I'm not always the sunshine and rainbows guy, but 2.5, give me that. I'm picking the Broncos.
What was your score on our weekly picks?
I believe I had them. I think I did 24-16.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I went 24-17, but in the Titans' direction. So it's close, right? I mean, it's going to be a close game. We've got it within a touchdown or less. So, yeah, I've just got a lot of concerns outside of the obvious. Now, worst week ever for a week 1 if you're a Broncos fan, right? You learned Von Miller's out for the season, just had surgery. I know there's a little bit of optimism there about him coming back later, but for me right now, man, Von needs to heal up, and you just have got to treat it as if Von's not with you right now because he's not. And I wouldn't plan on or hope that he is coming back anytime soon. So you've got to look forward to what the Broncos have to go. We got Pabby coming in here, another Mount Rushmore Super Chat superstar. Go Broncos with a huge $24.99 Super Chat, Pabby. I'm hoping you're doing well. I know we were chatting with you a little bit back and forth with the MHH community, so I'm pleased you can tune in with us here on a Saturday night before Sunday tomorrow, man. Football tomorrow as well. But no, as I look at the Titans versus the Broncos, it's a lot of the same old thing for me, man. It's offensive tackles for the Broncos are going to be a huge concern. You know, I'm looking at Elijah Wilkinson out there who was a little bit banged up. Looking at Garrett Bowles, it is what it is there. Outside of Cortland Sutton, and whether or not he's going to go, whether or not he will be efficient, man, Drew Lock is going to have his hands full, even though, you know, the premier cornerback for the Tennessee Titans is out right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, losing Von Miller is obviously a kick to the groin, but I think the Broncos are going to do better than people expect. And maybe I'm in the minority here. I'm just so anti-running back that doesn't bring value to the pass game that Derrick Henry, he's not even in my top 10 running backs that I'd want to have on my team because he's so singular dimensional. Yeah, really? I know. I'm maybe it's just to be a little bit hot takey, but I went through, honestly, a guy that I would rather have on my team, honest to God, I'd rather have Austin Eckler because he's that good of a receiver. You can put him in the slot against a linebacker and it's done. Put that guy with Brady, good luck. But Derrick Henry, I mean, last year, what did he do against the Broncos? Average like 2 yards a carry.
Yeah, and it was, you know, it was a different, and it was a different team, different, you know, a whole bunch of different stuff, but it's kind of the same at this, you know, at the same time. You got one pass rusher that's out in Von Miller, and last year it was Chubb. Now, I'm really worried about Bradley Chubb. I know everyone's chalking it up to he's going to be okay and stuff like that, but man, I don't know, Nick. I really don't know. I know he's sore. I know things aren't 100% right. I don't know if they're going to have him on a pitch count, aka limited snap count, what that's going to look like. I would just hate to see him re-injure himself in the first game. And some of that goes with Cortland Sutton as well. Now, whether or not he's going to get the needle, the cortisone injection, I don't know. Whether or not, you know, the severity required him to have the option of fix this now or let's give it the needle and go for it. I'm thinking it's more of a minor injury. I'm hoping it's more of a minor injury. But, you know, these guys, we talked about football shape, and they're not in football shape right now. The altitude is absolutely a factor for the Tennessee Titans. But you know what? I don't think the Broncos are in football shape either. I don't think a lot of these teams that are going to be playing tomorrow are in football shape just because they haven't had a lot of reps on the football practice field. And I think you're going to see, you know, a little bit of a rougher product Thursday night. Don't get me wrong. I was super pumped to have football back, but kind of went the way we thought it was going to go and was a little sloppy as well.
Honestly, it's a little bit boring, but I think some of that is just the Texans are a cluster. So Terry coming in with the super sticker.
What's up, Terry?
I'll have to
Appreciate
imagine
you.
the super sticker. We also have Kevin Peterson here. If McManus misses a kick on Monday, I'm going to snap. Kevin, Goose Fraba. It's going to be okay. He's not going to miss it. Don't put those vibes into the air.
I like you, Kevin.
He's going to hit the game winner.
You just went out there. He damn well better, because you know what? Like, I'm with you, Kevin. You made all that money now. You better go make it. Now, Kevin, if he misses this year, I don't think we should eat him up. Like things happen. Sometimes it's a bad snap. Sometimes it's weather related. Sometimes there's probably a whole bunch of kicking variables that Brandon McManus could never teach me in my lifetime to fully understand. But we can't just eat this guy up on the very first miss that he's going to have. Is it going to be frustrating? Sure. But it's also frustrating when a receiver drops a ball. Deshaun Hamilton, I'm talking to you, in the end zone of the Raiders game last year. Not that I'm bitter about it or anything, but you know what? We still give that receiver another chance. So just ask the same of good old B-Mac, who bringing in the Benjamins.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there. So talking Titans, is there anybody on the Titans that you are worried about from the Broncos perspective that has not gotten much hype yet? Somebody that, obviously everybody knows Derrick Henry. Everybody is aware of, I guess, Joe Casey's gone. I am aware of Jeffrey Simmons. He's going to be a monster. Watching him versus the Broncos interiors, honestly going to be the thing I'm going to be watching the most when the Broncos offense is on the field, just because I think that battle is going to be really fun to watch. But is there anybody on the Titans for you that you're like, yeah, this guy really scares me, and I don't think he's getting the fear from the fans or the media that is deserved?
Yeah. I'm not going to say scare, because sometimes he gambles a lot and sometimes he does stupid things, but I've always liked him. And left tackle Taylor Lawan. I've always liked Taylor. I got something for Taylor. I don't know what it is, man. I think he's got a chippiness and an edginess. Now, I don't think he's always, the best guy off the field. I think some of the things he says, he wishes he could have back, but his athleticism and his significance on that team, I like it, and I think it goes a little bit underrated. Now, I'm saying Taylor Lawan not just because I like him and what he brings to the Titans, but he should be going against Bradley Chubb, right?
He should.
Yeah, so you got a healthy Taylor Lawan and you got a banged up Bradley Chubb. I don't know what the weight difference is there. I'm assuming Taylor Lawan is a bigger man than Bradley Chubb. I could be wrong, but Chubb is just so lean. And don't get me wrong, he's all muscle and a bulky dude as well. But he's so lean, and a lot of people don't think he relies on his finesse as much. You're completely wrong, man. That guy, he's becoming a finesse player. Watching some, just training camp drills and stuff like that, seeing how he's trying to be a little more flexible and bend, just like Vaughn was trying to be more powerful and more Khalil Mack, Bradley Chubb-esque. It worries me, Taylor Lawan versus Bradley Chubb, not because Bradley can't handle it, but because I don't want Bradley getting hurt. And Taylor Lawan has definitely had a hot head in the past.
And I think, just to speak to Taylor Lawan, he's a little bit considered of a hothead. There has been some rumors of performance-enhancing drugs in the past. Yep. I think he actually had a 4-game suspension last year due to PEDs. Anyway, but I was so on him until I saw him at a Nashville Predators game, and he poured a beer and then chugged it out of a catfish at the Nashville Predators game.
Out of a catfish?
Out of a catfish. A giant catfish. Chugged the beer out of the catfish. So, worth watching. Crazy.
That puts David Bakhtiari's beer chug in the NBA game to shame. If you're chugging a beer out of a catfish, you're crazy, dude. But
I'll have to send that to you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Taylor Lawan, I'm not saying he's the best left tackle ever. He definitely had terrible games in 2019, but he owned up and he was accountable for him. So I just hope that Chubb, I hope he doesn't hurt Chubb, because he can play a little dirty at times too, a little past the whistle. So I'm just going to be watching. I don't, is he 74, 76? I think something like that.
He's 77.
77. Okay. Yeah. So, Nick, I am worried about Derrick Henry. I really am. Okay. Just because when I
linebackers.
Yeah. And, it's not so much to go off of what he did last year, because I know everybody's saying, he was the king, right? King Henry, the rushing attack. Seeing some of the things he did was absolutely incredible in the postseason. But you're exactly right. He is one-dimensional. He's a north-south runner, but for me, man, when you just don't have the synergy for offenses. Now, Ryan Tannehill, I don't believe in him. I really don't. I can't see why the Titans put him in there and paid him. I think they're ultimately going to regret it. And, I don't see a lot of difference between him and Trevor Siemian, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Ryan Tannehill is like 100 times better athlete. He played wide receiver at Texas A&M, and his bootleg ability off of Henry, which credit to Henry there, but his athleticism off of that with the play action, with the bootleg, is a total difference maker. It makes them really kind of like the early Mike Shanahan Broncos post Elway.
Arm talent and arm strength, though. I mean,
they're just okay, but he's a good athlete.
He's a good athlete, sure.
Really good.
Good athlete, that's fine. But when you've got the workhorse, I mean, I'm expecting him to throw. I ain't expecting him to run. It's just because I've never been a big Tannehill guy. I know it's a great story and everything. But, man, Derrick Henry, I'm really counting on Jarrell Casey. We all are, right? He's here for some get back. But I got to see something else from this defensive line that we've been hyping up all offseason, Nick. You and I have been high on these guys, man. We're looking at, Shelby Harris came back. Okay, whatever. But you got Draymond Jones, Mike Purcell. I want to see these guys get in it. And you know what? I want my boy McTelvin Agene to get up in there. He might get a few reps in there, but you know what? Make the most of them, young boy. I mean, get in there and show that, Bill Kolar, hey, man, I can get in here and I can mix it up. You're going to make some mistakes. Make them 100 miles an hour. But this Broncos defensive line, Nick, they better get after it.
Yeah, and I just – quick aside real quick. I've had one beer and I'm red in the face because it's so hot in here, because the windows have been closed, because it's the apocalypse outside. But so that's why I'm red in the face, guys. I'm not passing out. Don't send help. I'm okay. The big one for me, I think, that is not getting enough – credit, but the one that scares me that is kind of an unknown is Tennessee tight end Jonnu Smith. Now, Jonnu Smith, I believe he was a third-round pick a couple seasons ago from FIU. Good athlete, kind of a little bit of a tight end H-back type, but he's really improved as a blocker. And if the Broncos are going this week without Mark Barron, obviously Todd Davis is gone, and now it's Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson against tight ends, and they're both of them having to be sucked up against the run of Derrick Henry. Jonnu Smith scares me. I think he's the guy. If you're playing like daily fantasy football, Jonnu Smith is the guy I'm picking up, because the Broncos, while they did improve against the tight ends last year because they were so good in red zone defense, they gave up a lot of yards to tight ends as well. So that is one that I think Jonnu Smith, that's a name to know. Hopefully we don't hear a lot from him this week, but I think that's somebody that the Broncos are going to be unfortunately acquainted with after this game.
Dude, you're exactly right, man. Who's going to cover the tight end? That's why I started to Okay. I mean, that's the best. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's got to be Kareem or Justin. I mean, it's your ball hawk or your thumper. It's one or the other. I know Kareem can play corner, do all that. Yeah. That's great. But you know what? Like, man, that's why I started the hashtag bring back Bam Bam last week, dude. Like, gosh, Todd Davis, man, come on. I know he's not the best cover. He's not a coverage linebacker, but dang it, he was the best thing the Broncos had. Alexander Johnson, he's a great story, dinosaur dance, all that stuff. Don't know about covering the tight end. Josie Jewell, definitely don't know he can cover the tight end. So it's going to be a problem, Nick. It's a huge concern, the linebackers. And I was just looking at the injury report, man. Mark Barron, it's a hamstring injury, he's out. Graham Glasgow, that's an injury. He's in. Now, that's an injury we haven't talked about. Another injury I'm worried about. I talked about that offensive line. I'm talking about this because it's an annoying injury, Nick. You've had your ankle jacked up. I've had my ankle jacked up. Ankle's the worst designed thing in the body, man. I mean, it's just designed to get hurt. I'm hoping this is an injury like Cortland Sutton's where it can't get worse. I hope it doesn't get worse throughout the season. I know the big man's been uncomfortable, but we looked at Graham Glasgow, you and I, as an underrated signing, Nick, and I just hope he's able to do okay with that ankle, man.
Yeah, and we got Manny Weiss coming in. Why is Davis still unsigned? It's probably something I kind of hinted at earlier. Week one. Yep, after week one, the contracts are non-guaranteed. So it's a weird thing due to the state of the world right now and how the NFL is handling that. But probably you'll see him get picked up after week one. Maybe it'll be with Denver, but I wouldn't blame him at all if he wanted nothing to do with it and be a little bit feeling a little bit jaded because of it. Another guy, obviously I touched on a little bit, but just a matchup I'm super excited for. Obviously Lloyd Cushenberry coming in this week, starting as a rookie, as a third-round rookie. It'll be interesting to watch. Graham Glasgow coming back from an injury. Dalton Reisner, year 2, he kind of fell off last year after his injury had that hit the rookie wall. But the one that, watching them and Jarrell Casey's replacement in Jeffrey Simmons, who went 1 pick before the Broncos, I think Jeffrey Simmons is going to end up being one of the top 3 interior defensive linemen in football in the next couple years. So that's going to be really interesting for the Broncos, and kind of pivoting off of that also an issue for a concern with Locke as well. Because Locke, he's done pretty good with edge pressure. He can escape the pocket, but when pressure's in his face, typically, at least we've seen his mechanics get out of whack. His footwork gets bad. He'll throw off his back foot. And even when there's not pressure, if he's been getting pressure earlier in the game, he'll start to do that just because he's anticipating pressure. So Jeffrey Simmons, that could be the X factor in the game. The Broncos can stop Jeffrey Simmons, who's the reason that the Titans moved on from Jarrell Casey. That could be the make or break matchup of the game.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting considering Lloyd Cushenberry has never faced another player that doesn't wear orange and blue in the NFL. None of these guys have right now that are rookies. Man, number 79, I'm going to be watching him, man. And I was super pumped. We were all, pretty happy to think that we got a starting center, and he's the starting center week 1. So playing silly little games, like Coach Fangio said last year regarding Drew Lock and, not releasing him as the starting quarterback for a little bit. They're playing silly little games with a lot of these guys in training camp. I just hope it doesn't come back to bite them. Lloyd Cushenberry, man, he needed every rep. And Terry Randall, speaking of reps, coming in. Terry Randall with a $2 super chat. Appreciate you so much, Terry. Always giving us so much great donations and support. Given enough reps, this year's 95 will be better. Man, Terry, you're putting me in a really tough spot because I'm all about that Def Woo life. I'm all about Derek Wolfe, man. I'm hoping the big man has a great season out there in Baltimore, hoping he stays healthy. But, dude, yeah, I like it. I like the young guy. I want to see what he can do. He's still a rookie. He's got a lot of improving to do, but potential's there, man. So when he gets in there, he better stick to his assignments. He better stay disciplined. And McTelvin Dream, right? I know it sounds like Dream, nickname Dream, but I want it to be a nightmare for the Broncos. I just think it's going to be a couple years in the making.
Yeah, it's probably going to take a little bit for Sosa to make a big difference in the league. But, who knows? We'll see. We'll have a even better idea after Monday night. Gary Smith coming in, I think Casey will wreak havoc, and will make everyone around him better. I definitely think that's true, and they're going to need him after Vaughn went down. So that's a good comment there. We got Kenneth Booker coming in. Kenneth, good to see you. What are Judy's chances of winning Rookie of the Year? I think low, just because wide receivers almost never win Rookie of the Year. Historically, wide receiver takes a year or two to really make an impact. The Rookie of the Year, offensive Rookie of the Year position, quarterback or running back. That's just kind of how it goes.
I would say right now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is winning the week 1 race. The week 1 race. Obviously, we're very, very early. But yeah, we got James coming in. What's up, James, man? It's so good to hear from you. I've been hearing from you on Facebook and looking at some of those awesome takes you've got. Another key matchup, A.J. Brown versus Bryce Callahan. You know what I'm looking at this matchup, James? I want Bryce Callahan to walk away from this game healthy, and I'll be okay.
Yeah, A.J. Brown is kind of that weird position where people think of slot players like the Brandon Stokeleys, the Wes Welkers of the world, but you're starting to get the guys who are almost like wide receiver tight end hybrids, and that's A.J. Brown. He's super physical, not a guy who's going to win very deep very often, but essentially a big slot. So A.J. Brown versus the more diminutive Bryce Callahan. Is it going to be Bryce Callahan on the inside? Are we going to see Essang Bassey? That's going to be interesting as well. So who is that Broncos third corner? How does that shuffling work? Third corner has been one of the biggest things I've been asking since the draft. Because
go ahead. What do you do? Where do you put him? I like Bryce Callahan in the slot.
I do too, but it depends on where Bryce Callahan is. It's twofold questions. Can Bryce Callahan play on the boundary? There's been a lot of talk that he did very well against Cortland Sutton on the boundary. Okay, and then how much better is Essang Bassey compared to the likes of, who's going to play on the outside? Devontae Harris, Michael Ojemudia. So, we're probably going to see both. We're going to see both this week. And hopefully the Broncos don't get burnt when the wrong formation's out there, but they're going to have to figure it out. It's going to be trial by fire for that third cornerback position.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, and just off the top of my head, I believe it's saying Bassey is smaller than Bryce Callahan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now I know Bryce is, not a huge man either. Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. We might see some experimentation in the next few weeks. Kind of like Vic was trying to figure out how that defensive line was going to work last year with Shelby Harris, and eventually figuring out where he's going to be. So yeah, no, that's a really interesting matchup. Also, I like it, James. I like it a lot. But Drew Lock, man, Drew Lock. You have got to be ready to get rid of the ball early. They were showing Pat Mahomes, obviously, offense that they're not firing on all cylinders the other night, but they still look pretty damn good. Getting rid of the ball, I believe, right at 2 seconds. Or just over. Drew, you better be getting rid of the ball early too. Now, Drew Lock's pre-snap reads are going to matter a ton in this game because he's not going to have a lot of time, Nick. I'm convinced he better be mobile. Now, the inside I'm feeling pretty good about, but those two tackles, I know you have Bradley Chubb and Von Miller, two of the best to ever do it in training camp, but when both of those guys were getting back to Drew Lock in training camp, man, I worry about the health of this quarterback. To me, the sky would be completely falling if Drew Lock gets banged up, possibly, dare I say, injured on Sunday. That would be the worst case scenario for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I don't even want to put that out into the universe. I think the biggest thing with Drew Lock is that he last year, obviously, you saw the Texans game and also somewhat the Chargers game when he first played, where there's a little bit more of a looseness to him. And then they tightened it up. Obviously, the Broncos won, and this is partially Scangarello's fault, I believe. But he did get a little bit, I would say, reserved in some of his abilities. So I just want Luke to go out, or Luke, I want you to go out there. No, Drew, I want Drew to go out there and play Luke. If he throws a couple picks, it's not the end of the world. I would rather him go out there, be loose, go out there and be a playmaker, run the offense. Just don't think too much and get bogged down and then have your whole process go away. Obviously, there's so many things to think about the quarterback. There's a reason it's one of the most complicated positions in all of sports. There's a reason it's paid like it is as well. But I'm a little bit – that's something I'm looking for as well with Locke. Because last year, even though they beat the Lions and the Raiders, who had some of the worst defenses in football last year, I think it's worth mentioning, Locke looked a little bit stiff. So I'm just, with the pass rush and the issues the Broncos have injury-wise and the offensive line, it's something to watch for. I just don't want him to be that guy. So, fly fish hunter. I love that is a hell of a fish.
That's a giant. A monster, a river monster. My wife loves that show. It looks like fly fish
Jeremy
hunter.
Wade. I love Jeremy Wade.
She does too, man.
I love him.
That guy's crazy, man. That guy does some crazy. I don't know about all the monsters he's pulling out of the water. But no, man, you're exactly right. Drew Lock, be yourself. Be the guy that you were at Mizzou. Be the guy that you were the last 5 games. Be yourself. I just hope, Nick, I'm hoping in the first few series I see the Drew Lock of last year, meaning a confident player. He's going to make mistakes, absolutely. Yeah. But I don't want last Saturday or 2 weeks ago, Saturday scrimmage, to have gotten in the young QB's head. Now, he came out and said he was able to, go through it, be upset, be angry at himself, and let it go. I'm hoping that translates over. And we got Aaron Lynch coming in. It just feels like there are so many unanswered questions heading into the season. We won't like all the answers, but I cannot wait for this team to find its destiny. Get cleats on the turf. I absolutely love it, Aaron. You're right, man. It's not always going to be perfect. And you know what? The Kansas City Chiefs have holes. I found a few holes that we'll get to. And, Nick, I know you're going to – I don't know if you got a chance on that defense. I'm looking at that defense, much improved the other night. But, dude, I can't wait till Chiefs week because I'm going to be charting every single one of the Chiefs games this year too. And every team's got weaknesses. So to think that because Von Miller's out, that Cortland Sutton's a little banged up and Bradley Chubb's banged up, that the Broncos don't have a chance – absolutely not. I mean, most of us, and go check out our work at milehighhuddle.com, have this a 1-score game. That's a close game, folks. So we could be wrong. It could be a blowout, and the Broncos just completely shut out the Titans. And how great would that be? But, Nick, I'm expecting a great game, man. I'm expecting a close game. Things aren't going to be perfect. Problems are going to happen. That's football, dude. That's football.
That is football. And we got Jay Roper coming in. Can Drew Lock go out there and create plays? Is he able to create the amazing plays? Or do you think he'll just be a pocket passer? I think you'll see a little bit of – they're going to try to take the ball somewhat out of Locke's hands. I think it's going to be a run-centric game plan early on, but it depends on how the offensive line is doing, if they're getting pushed at the point of attack, and how the Broncos defense is doing to make sure the Titans aren't getting out in the head. So really it depends on how the game is flowing, but I don't think he's going to be just a pocket passer. I don't think he can afford to be just a pocket passer because of the Titans' pass rush prowess. I mean, we haven't even talked about Harold Landry yet against Elijah Wilkinson. You want to knock on wood? There's something to knock wood on.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that, man, just because I lose sleep over that matchup. And
Landry's you can run at him. He's kind of like what we hoped Shane Ray would be. But he's bendy and he's quick and he can get after the goddamn quarterback. So,
and he understands leverage. I mean, and that's been a big problem with Elijah Wilkinson at the right tackle position. I know we got to wrap it up here, but man, if you can get these big offensive tackles off balance, something that Von Miller has made his bread off of in the NFL, you're going to see those results. So, Flyfish Hunter, I appreciate it. Luke, I like the optimism. Yeah, man, I've got it a 1-score game, but I hope I'm wrong. Anytime I'm picking the Broncos to lose, it's not that I'm rooting against them. It's not that I think they have the cards stacked up against them. It's just what I'm seeing, and it's just my opinion. And guess what, Nick? I'm wrong all the time. I don't think I've ever been right on a season record for the Denver Broncos. So those things kind of go out the window after game one with injuries and other things like that. So we'll just have to see, man. But football's back, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, good points. And also the Broncos historically are just absolutely incredible weeks 1 and 2. So again, it'll be weird without the fans. I'm not sure how much that'll carry over and with the weird offseason, but the Broncos are still going to have a leg up in altitude. So it'll be interesting to watch that. But guys, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Mile High Insiders. You can find Luke on Twitter at Luke Patterson LP and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. Make sure you head on over to milehighhuddle.com, an affiliate of Sports Illustrated. On YouTube, guys, like, subscribe, and share. On Facebook, click those little thumbs up or positive reactions. Also on iTunes, go over there, leave us a 5-star rating and a comment. All of that can help really support us and can help us continue to bring you these Denver Bronco deep dives, and especially important now that the season's here. You can follow the Mile High Insiders podcast on Twitter, obviously at MHI_football pod. Also follow the main account at Mile High Huddle. For Luke, I'm Nick, wrapping up another episode of the Mile High Insiders podcast. Guys,
we got Chris. We got Chris coming in here. Better late than ever, baby. Cheers to the MHH fam. Click those little thumbs up. Chris, I absolutely love it, dude. I see the shirt, ZW Designs, loving it, baby. I appreciate it, Chris, so much, man. Chris, another Super Chat superstar on that Rushmore. Thank y'all so much, Chris. You got to go back and listen to this one, man. This was a good one, dude. We're pumped. And then you guys stay tuned. Tomorrow you got the Huddle Up podcast, and I know Chad and Zach are going to be chomping at the bit to get to the Broncos in just another day. So he's Nick Kendell. I'm Luke Patterson saying always believe in that Mile High magic and go Broncos.
You've been listening to the Huddle Up Podcast. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.